G'day YouTube, and welcome to my very first video covering this game that I absolutely love called Pokemon Duel. And as you can probably guess from my accent already, yes, I'm an Aussie, and we've already got SHD Games covering Pokemon Duel from New Zealand. We've got a host of other YouTubers like Pokefodder, Rico, RX Gaming, Giggity Gaming, and a bunch of other great YouTubers like Choctopus, who I'd like to invite you to check out as well. The community that we've got with Pokemon Duel is super exciting, and that's the main reason I've decided to make videos myself. I'd love to be part of that community, interact with these people, and I'd like to talk to you on Discord servers about what's happening with the game, when new figures are released, see some of the cool synergies that you can create with the figures in this game, and hopefully grow the community together. The second reason why I've decided to start making Pokemon Duel videos is because sometimes it's hard with all the time conversions from America, and I haven't seen a lot of those in Australian Eastern Standard Time making these videos, so I thought it might help them out as well. However, I feel like this channel will try lots of different decks. I'll try and enjoy them as much as I can and share the best ones with you. If you feel that you'd like to be part of this content as well, please feel free to subscribe, but I won't be pushing that very often during my progress with this channel. So I think to start off, while I'm talking about the game and the basics of the game in this introductory sort of video, I may as well start off by trying to complete the final win that I require as part of this SS Come Monty Carnival, and get a win over the top ranked player, get an extra 300 points, and get an EX cube. Now I'd like to keep the next few minutes as a bit of an introduction to the game for those who haven't really tried Pokemon Duel yet. Feel free to skip it if you already have. In this game, you have 6 figures on your team. The opposition has 6 figures on their team. Each of these figures are Pokemon with different abilities and different attacks. Just to illustrate, this would be the first figure that I'd like to show, Tapu Koko. You can see it's got different segments. You can click on details and see both this ability that Tapu Koko has, for example, being able to move past, which just means being able to move straight through certain figures on the field, and also cause other figures, such as electric type Pokemon, to deal plus 30 damage. So I'm just going to move that figure up onto the board. You have your 2 entry points on your side, and the opponent has their figures on the other side. The aim is to reach the goal. So you can see the goal over there for me at the opposition side, and the opposition's goal is to bring one of their figures onto my goal over here. Now at the moment there are only around 2 ways to knock out figures. The first is by initiating battles and using their effects, and the second is by surrounding Pokemon. So hopefully we'll illustrate those soon. In terms of the different types of attacks, there are only around 5 different colours that your attacks can land. I think we might have a battle here. We do have a battle. Now that -1 damage is because of the Sableye that I have on the field, which causes the opponent to lose 1 attack power. I might bring this Sableye up. You'll also notice the opposition Combuskin will lose 1 damage. So Confused Ray has confused the opponent. There are that is the first of a few different types of status effects that you'll see in this game. I'm just going to go in for the attack. As you can see, Combuskin becomes almost useless when it's confused. Now in addition to having your figures and the board, each team can start off with a number of plates. You can start off with up to 6 plates, depending on the cost of those plates. And for example, the opponent uses a double chance plate, which means that they can spin again to try and find a more favourable roll, which might be able to knock out my Pokemon. They were unsuccessful in doing so. I'm just going to cover my goals, so I'm slightly protected. In terms of the gameplay strategy, for me in this game, I think there's only 2 real ways of going about it. The first is knocking out Pokemon and taking the goal itself. And the second strategy is to try to slowly etch towards the entry points. And this, I feel like, is the most common high-level strategy employed in this game. Most players at the higher ranks are just trying to knock out Pokemon, cover the entry points, or try and get a surround on the opposition goal. To get a surround as well, you'd need 2 Pokemon at the other end. So the aim is almost always, to have 2 Pokemon up. If you only have 1 Pokemon up at the other side of the board, you're not very likely to get the win. You'll probably have to beat the goalie. You'll probably have to beat another Pokemon that the opposition uses to cover their goal. And you'll probably have to survive a third roll from a Pokemon coming off the bench. And the chances of you winning 3 rolls in a row is not as likely in this game as you think. Even with the most highly leveled Pokemon, you still have quite a significant chance of getting what I would call an unfavorable roll. So the best strategy is often to take entry points. So I've just moved my Tapu Koko onto the top left entry point to try and close that up. The opponent's advancing. As you can tell, my deck's not very, what some might say, good for this game, but I mean, as long as you're having fun, that's what really matters, and I'm using a bit of a variety deck here. I might use a Max Revive. Using one of my plates, Max Revive brings one of your Pokemon out of what is called a PC, which is where your Pokemon go when they're knocked out. You can have up to 2 Pokemon in your PC. Once more of those Pokemon are knocked out on the board, you'll find that when another Pokemon goes into the PC, one of your old Pokemon that was knocked out comes back. That was not good. So the opposition Cobalion knocks out my Magneton, but gets frozen in the process. Now, will I take the opportunity to take a knockout? I think I will. If I land my gold, it will be a knockout. Otherwise, I'll get a status effect off anyway. And I'll take that. Confused Cobalion. Almost useless. Now I'm going to be a little bit aggressive here. Sableye, as you can tell, can move through the opposition figures. A lot of the ghost Pokemon in this game can. And in particular, in the recent past, there have been more and more figures that can move through other Pokemon. Cobalion has a nice effect where it can't be knocked out by gold attacks. I expect that Tapu Koko to be attacked now, because if not, if I can survive this turn, you'll see what I mean by surround. The opposition miss, I win that roll, nothing much happens, and this is where you can get a surround. If the Pokemon is completely surrounded and has no unoccupied points that are not taken by the opposition on any side of that Pokemon, then that Pokemon is knocked out. And that's one of the ways you can win, taking the opposition's goal. The other way is to have a Pokemon on both entry points, have knocked out all of the opposition Pokemon, and end up in what's called a weight win, where the opposition cannot make any moves. So we take the win, we take the experience, 300 experience overall, although only 250 go towards Pokemon that I'd actually like to be leveling up. And we get to 20,000 points in this carnival. And that gets us the final reward that this carnival had on offer, which is the EX Cube. An extremely valuable item that you can use to increase the damage of one of your highest damaging Pokemon by 1 point. So there you have it. That's an introduction to Pokemon Duel. The last thing I'd like to show you is where you can actually see your figures and some of the figures that I happen to have as well and that you can expect in future videos. Because I've been playing this game since the very beginning, I do have a host of figures. As you can tell, I have up to 3 of almost all of the figures. I am a free-to-play player, so it can be a bit of a grind to get all of these figures. But you'll see I keep around 3. You'll start amassing figures as well as you progress through this game. And you can increase their damage power, which I shall illustrate through a Pokemon that has illustrated damage power. So you can see, for example, if I was to click on this Geodude, this is how it comes, what I would call out of the box. doing 30 damage that can chain on to go 30, 60, 90 and so on. However, you can improve the wheel by changing it by up to 10%. Misses will retain 4 pieces, at least. So Geodude has at least 4 miss, and I've been leveling up this Geodude by grinding in quests. Those who have done the quests will be familiar with what that means. And you can also change the size of certain pieces as you level them up. So that's a bit of an introduction to Pokemon Duel. Hope to see you in the next video for when I start illustrating some cool decks.